Chapter 191. AI Kuan seemed to be living well at the Su family. In just a few months, his complexion had improved significantly. He was walking with an old woman in her 50s. The two of them were laughing as they walked, occasionally making physical contact. Appearing very close, this must be the friend he mentioned, but judging by their behavior, they didn't seem like just ordinary friends. Songwon followed them from a distance, watching the two leisurely stroll through the market. He was the only one who knew that AI Kuan was cultivating the longevity art. Since AI Kuan had joined the Su family, Songwon couldn't help but suspect that the Su family's attempt to capture him was connected to AI Kuan. The two bought some materials for drawing talismans and then left the market, heading towards Qingping Mountain. They didn't use a flying boat. Instead, they flew using a flight technique. At the market's edge, there were still many people around, making it unsuitable for Songwon to take action. When they were about 20 miles away from the market, in a secluded area with dense forests and no one else around for miles, Songwon saw his opportunity. The two people flying 100 meters in the air suddenly showed panic. A flash of cold light shot through, instantly piercing their abdomens. To avoid immediately killing them, the cold moon blade only punctured their abdomens, leaving a bloody hole without causing more significant damage, but their flight techniques instantly failed and they plummeted to the ground, crashing heavily. After breaking a dozen tree branches, they hit the ground hard, almost dying. Both suffered from varying degrees of broken bones and severe abrasions. AI Kuan's face was covered in blood. He struggled to get up, but the sharp pain in his abdomen made him fall back to the ground. He could feel that at least half of his ribs were broken. Raising his head, AI Kuan looked at the old woman with him and, enduring the pain, asked, "Ah Xiao, how are you?" Su Xiao, with only 5 layers of qi training, was more seriously injured than AI Kuan. Her left thigh was bloody and mangled, with the broken thigh bone protruding through the flesh, exposed to the air. "Help me, my leg is broken, and my internal organs are shattered." She suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, mixed with unknown pieces of internal organs. AI Kuan took out an elixir, swallowed it, and without time to refine it, tried to crawl towards Su Xiao. Suddenly, a mocking voice sounded, "Hee hee, such a loving couple. Senior AI, you've only been at the Su family for a few months, and you've already turned from a brothel frequenter into a devoted lover." Songwen's figure slowly emerged from the dense forest, a playful smile on his face. At this moment, he had already resumed his appearance as Zhang Chang. "Zhang Chang, it's you." Seeing Songwen, AI Kuan's eyes flashed with panic, quickly replaced by hatred and confusion. "I thought I treated you well before. Why are you doing this to me? And you hid so deeply, even being a foundation establishment cultivator." Songwen's cold smile remained, his eyes sharp, his voice icy. "No need to act in front of me. Without some confidence, I wouldn't have attacked you rashly. Why did you betray me? And why did the Su family capture me?" AI Kuan replied, "I don't understand what you're talking about." Songwen said, "Senior AI, you're forcing me to torture you. Wouldn't it be better if I gave you a quick death?" After a moment of silence, AI Kuan pointed to Su Xiao and said, "Fine, I'll tell you everything, but you must spare her. She has nothing to do with this and is innocent." As if hearing something extremely funny, Songwen suddenly burst into laughter. "Ha ha, unrelated to this matter? Innocent people? I'm peacefully staying at home, but the Su family suddenly barges in to capture me. Am I not innocent? The Su family sent out golden core cultivators to hunt me, almost causing my death. Am I not innocent?" AI Kuan said, "But she is from the Su family. If you kill her, it will set the Su family against you and they won't let you go." Songwen coldly replied, "Do you think I came to the Su family's territory just for you? You don't think I'm here only to seek revenge, do you?" AI Kuan looked incredulous and said in shock, "Do you intend to make a move against the Su family? Their ancestral elder is a golden core cultivator." Songwen sneered, "Humph, just an old, decrepit figure. I only need to lurk in the dark for a few years and he'll naturally return to the underworld." AI Kuan wanted to say more, but was interrupted by Songwen. "All right, Senior AI, tell me everything you know. I'll give you a quick death." After a moment of contemplation, AI Kuan said, "Fine, I'll tell you everything I know. I've wronged you, so consider it my apology. Just give us both a quick end. After coming to the Su family, I learned that they have a unique elixir that can replenish vitality. As you know, my vitality is severely depleted, and without replenishment, I might not survive much longer. Later, I learned that the Su family was searching for cultivators of the longevity art. I informed them of your whereabouts in exchange for 2 elixirs to restore my vitality. Why does the Su family want to capture cultivators of the longevity art?" Songwen asked. AI Kuan shook his head. "I don't know, I'm just an outsider, so the Su family wouldn't reveal that to me." Songwon stared at AI Kuan. Seeing that he didn't seem to be lying, he continued to ask, "How many cultivators of the longevity art has the Su family captured?" AI Kuan said, "I don't know, but they only want young cultivators with high cultivation levels." "I've told you everything I know, do it?" With that, AI Kuan closed his eyes, resigned to his fate. "Do you have any last words?" Songwon asked. "No, just do it." Songwen's figure flashed, and his left hand, like an iron claw, grasped the top of AI Kuan's head. A torrent of soul power instantly overwhelmed AI Kuan's consciousness. Moments later, Songwen withdrew his hand. From the fragmented memories obtained through soul searching, Songwen could roughly determine that AI Kuan was not lying and that what he said was the truth. Songwen's gaze turned to Su Xiao. Su Xiao looked devastated. She had heard the entire conversation between Songwen and AI Kuan and knew that she was doomed. Facing imminent death, she was filled with intense fear. "Please, spare me, Su Xiao's voice was cut off. Songwen performed a soul search on her. From Su Xiao's memories, Songwen learned that the information about the Su family capturing cultivators of the longevity art was given to AI Kuan by her. AI Kuan did not want to betray Songwen initially, but Su Xiao persuaded him multiple times. Su Xiao had told AI Kuan that if he obtained the elixir to restore his vitality, he could regain his strength and they could live as a married couple. From Su Xiao's memories, Songwen did not gain any additional information. She was merely a low-level cultivator in the Su family and could not have been informed of any core secrets. After a while, Songwen looked at the now lifeless AI Kuan with a sense of melancholy. He had been very cautious, always concealing his aura, and had only revealed minimal true information to AI Kuan. Yet, it still led to trouble. In the end, AI Kuan, who once bowed to him, had also died at his hands. Perhaps this is the cruelty of the cultivation world. You can never predict why those around you might betray you. TL. Damn. End of the chapter. Join me on patreon.com/TL. Read RDC ahead. Mass releases. 2 other stories, 1000 chapters, 1.16 m words. Read ahead for 5 or support me for 1. Your support is my motivation, and please share this story with your fellow readers. Chapter 192. Half a month later, Songwen arrived at the foot of Qingping Mountain. Before him stood a grand mountain gate with 5 large characters inscribed on it, Su family of Qingping Mountain. In front of the gate stood a dozen guards, some in the mid-stage of qi refining and some in the late stage. Songwen's current appearance was that of an elderly man in his 50s at the 5th level of qi refining. From the old woman's memories, he learned that the Su family was recruiting alchemists. Thus, he spent half a month learning how to refine qi-gathering pills from the alchemy insights of Rong Jingyun. Qi-gathering pills are the most common cultivation enhancement pills for early-stage qi-refining cultivators. The Su family, with its thousands of qi-refining practitioners, had a significant demand for them. "Stop. Who are you? What is your business with the Su family?" As Songwen approached the foot of the mountain, the guards stopped him. He smiled and cupped his hands in greeting. "Young sir, I heard from the marketplace that the Su family is recruiting alchemists, so I came here to try my luck." Upon hearing this, the guard's stern expressions softened immediately. "You are an alchemist?" Songwen nodded. "I feel ashamed to admit, but I've been immersed in EMI 30 years. Currently, I only know how to refine qi-gathering pills and blood qi pills. I'm not sure if I can join the Su family." When the guard heard that Songwen could refine qi-gathering pills, a hint of a friendly smile appeared on his face. "Fellow Taoist has been refining only 2 types of pills for 30 years. It seems you must be quite proficient with these pills. Please follow me. I'll take you to the alchemy room. As for whether you can enter the alchemy room, it will be decided by the room's supervisor." The guard from the Su family was surprisingly courteous, which made Songwen take a closer look at him. He appeared to be about 25 or 26 years old at the 6th level of qi refining. Songwen cupped his hands again and asked, "Thank you. Young sir, may I ask your name?" "I'm Su Shan." Songwen followed Su Shan up a broad staircase leading up the mountain. As they walked, Su Shan introduced him. On and off the mountain, you can only use the stairs. Any place without stairs is guarded by various hidden formations, whether for alerting, trapping, or killing. It is very dangerous to rashly intrude. Soon, they arrived outside a large hall located halfway up the mountain. The hall was built close to the cliff, ancient and imposing, covering several acres. A plaque hanging on the hall read, "Alchemy Room." Standing outside the alchemy room, one could feel the faint heat emanating from inside. Under Su Shan's guidance, they easily passed the guard's inspection and entered the alchemy room. Inside the alchemy room were various engraved alchemy furnaces. as well as many types of displayed pills with numerous people coming and going. Su Shan walked directly to a female cultivator around 40 years old and spoke respectfully, reporting to the supervisor, "There is an elderly man who self-recommended himself to become an alchemist for our Su family." The female cultivator looked up at Song Wen behind Su Shan and asked, "What pills can you refine?" "Qi gathering pills and blood qi pills." The female cultivator frowned. "Just these two?" Song Wen nodded. "I am of limited talent and have been refining pills for over 30 years, only having refined these two types. If I am fortunate enough to join the Su family, I will certainly dedicate myself to serving the family." The female cultivator stood up, waved her hand indicating that Su Shan could leave, and then said to Song Wen, "What is your name?" "Yuan Cheng." "Alchemist Yuan, please follow me. Words alone are not enough. I need to test your alchemy skills." The female cultivator led Song Wen deep into the hall. As they went deeper into the hall, Song Wen discovered another world within. In the depths of the hall, there was a corridor carved into the mountain, leading deep into its interior. Walking along the corridor for several dozen meters, alchemy rooms carved out of the mountain appeared before him. The female cultivator took out a black triangular token and placed it into a triangular recess on the stone door of an alchemy room. The stone door immediately opened. The alchemy room was small, with a diameter of less than 3 zhang, approximately 10 meters. Inside, there was an alchemy furnace with a small hole beneath it, through which a steady stream of scorching heat emerged. This small hole should be connected to the underground, using formations to draw the underground fire here for alchemy. The female cultivator took out 3 jade boxes and handed them to Song Wen, saying, "Here are 3 sets of materials for refining qi gathering pills. As long as Alchemist Yuan succeeds in refining 1 batch, you will pass the assessment and become an alchemist of the Su family." Next, the female cultivator demonstrated how to guide the underground fire, then exited the alchemy room. Alchemists are very sensitive while refining pills. Even the smallest disturbance from an outsider can cause distraction and lead to failure. Seeing the stone door close, Song Wen focused and began guiding the underground fire for alchemy. Underground fire has much greater intensity than wood fire, significantly speeding up the refining process. This was his first time using underground fire for alchemy, so he was somewhat unfamiliar with controlling the fire's intensity, resulting in the failure of the first batch of pills. Fortunately, the second batch was successfully refined. Song Wen pressed a mechanism on the stone door, and it slowly opened. Following the corridor, he returned to the main hall and approached the female cultivator, handing over a jade bottle. Song Wen said, "I have fulfilled my duty. The second batch has been successfully refined." The female cultivator took the jade bottle, opened it, and 5 pills the size of a fingertip appeared. The pills were round and abundant in spiritual energy, standard in quality, neither particularly good nor bad. They still had a faint fire aura, indicating they were freshly refined. A smile appeared on the female cultivator's face. "Alchemist Yuan, welcome to the Su family. I am Su Huawei, the steward of the alchemy room." Song Wen cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Steward Su. I look forward to your guidance in the future." Su Huawei nodded in response. Our Su family alchemists are divided into 7 ranks. From the 1st to the 3rd rank is a first-grade alchemist. Blood qi pills are first-grade lower quality pills, and qi gathering pills are first-grade middle quality pills. You are a 2nd-grade alchemist with a monthly salary of 30 spiritual stones. The Su family provides 30 sets of materials needed for qi gathering pills each month. You only need to refine 80 pills to complete the task. Any excess pills will be purchased by the alchemy room at 2 spiritual stones per pill. Is Alchemist Yuan satisfied with this arrangement? With 30 sets of materials, refining all of them could yield up to 150 qi gathering pills. The Su family's requirement of 80 pills only demands a success rate of over 50%. This requirement is not too harsh. In the northern markets, qi gathering pills sell for around 3 spiritual stones each. The Su family's purchase price of 2 spiritual stones per pill is also quite fair. Song Wen showed a delighted expression. "Thank you, steward. I am satisfied with this arrangement." Su Huawei said, "Then Alchemist Yuan can take a rest for now. You will officially start refining pills the day after tomorrow." She then called a maid with no cultivation and instructed her to take Song Wen to his residence. Under the maid's guidance, Song Wen arrived at a large compound at the foot of the mountain, which was divided into independent buildings, each with 3 rooms. The maid, being from the Su family with no spiritual roots and thus unable to cultivate, was very familiar with Qingping Mountain. She gave Song Wen a brief introduction to the general layout of the mountain. Above the mountain's waist, Most of the Sioux family's direct lineage resided. Those with decent spiritual roots and talent lived there. Below the mountain's waist were various cultivation areas, such as alchemy, refining, and talisman crafting. They were currently in a location that, strictly speaking, was no longer part of Qingping Mountain. The area was inhabited entirely by outsiders like Songwen. On the other side of the mountain foot, there was a small town with several tens of thousands of Sioux family members. Most people in the town were like the maid, without spiritual roots, while a smaller portion had lower quality spiritual roots. Their primary responsibilities were to serve Sioux family members with spiritual roots and to help the Sioux family expand by producing descendants with excellent spiritual roots. To the west of Qingping Mountain, there was a piece of spiritual land of several dozen acres where most of the Sioux family's spiritual herbs were grown. To the east, there was a valley that was a restricted area for the Sioux family. It was said to be the secluded place of the Sioux family's ancestor, and outsiders were prohibited from approaching. Outsiders like Song-won were not allowed to roam freely on Qingping Mountain without permission, and could only move about their assigned areas. They could, however, move freely within the compound at the mountain's foot and the town. End of the chapter. Join me on Patreon. Comsendertl. Read RDC ahead. Mass releases. 2 other stories, 1000 chapters, 1.16 m words. Read ahead for 5 or support me for 1. Your support is my motivation, and please share this story with your fellow readers. Chapter 193. The maid led Song-won to a vacant house and then left Song-won pushed open the door, finding the house well equipped with daily necessities. After resting for a while, it was around the 5th watch of the evening, which was mealtime. He got up and went outside, heading towards the dining hall as instructed by the maid earlier. Currently, Song-won's revealed cultivation level was only Qi refining 5th layer. To better conceal his true identity, he needed to frequently appear in the dining hall. Soon, he arrived at the dining hall located in the center of the compound. The dining hall was quite large, and there were many people dining inside. At least over 100. Song-won found a random spot to sit, and a servant promptly brought him his meal. Just as he was about to start eating, he heard someone speaking nearby. "Fellow Taoist, are you a new alchemist?" Song-won turned to look in the direction of the voice and saw a middle-aged cultivator around 40 years old. Seeing Song-won's puzzled expression, the man continued, "I saw you in the alchemy room this morning. Since you're a new face, I assume you must be a new addition to the Sioux family's alchemists. I am also an alchemist of the Sioux family. My name is Duan Jie. Seeing that you are dining alone, I would like to invite you to join us. We are all outsiders here, and it would be good to get to know each other and look out for one another." As Duan Jie spoke, he pointed to a large table at the edge of the dining hall, where 6 cultivators at the Qi refining mid-stage were having their meal. Song-won smiled and said, "I am an old man named Yuan Chung. It is an honor to be invited by fellow Taoist Duan, and I wouldn't think of declining." Song-won stood up and followed Duan Jie to the large table. Upon reaching the table, Duan Jie warmly introduced Song-won to everyone. Song-won also greeted each person with a smile. As Song-won was a newcomer, everyone showed interest in him, as newcomers might bring new pill formulas. These low-level alchemists, being outsiders in the Sioux family, were not highly valued. They could only improve their alchemy skills through self-study and mutual exchange. After they were seated, someone asked Song-won what type of pills he was skilled at refining. When they heard that Song-won only knew how to refine blood Qi pills and Qi gathering pills, their interest quickly waned. Blood Qi pills were not very valuable, and Qi gathering pills were something everyone could refine. Since Song-won didn't offer any new pill formulas, they lost interest. At this moment, a man named Qi Xiong, who was about 26 or 27 years old, spoke up. "Today, I finally refined my first batch of profound Qi pills." He spoke with an unmistakable air of pride on his face. Profound Qi pills were first-grade top-quality pills, used by cultivators at the Qi refining late stage to enhance their spiritual energy, containing several times more spiritual energy than Qi gathering pills. His ability to refine first-grade top-quality pills with his Qi refining 6th layer cultivation was a testament to his impressive talent in alchemy. Congratulations, Alchemist Qi. Congratulations. In the future, Alchemist Qi will be a 3rd-grade alchemist of the Sioux family. Facing the congratulations from everyone, Qi Xiong's face showed unrestrained pride. which slowly turned into arrogance. He let slip a hidden secret. I am already at the peak of Qi refining's 6th layer. Steward Su Huawei has promised to grant me a breakthrough pill in 3 months to help me break through. Wow! Someone couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The breakthrough pill was an extremely rare first-grade pill, similar in effect to the snake scale fruit that Song-Wen had used. The main ingredient for this pill is extremely difficult to find, and the technique required to refine it is very advanced. It is rare for a first-tier alchemist to be able to successfully refine it. In the market, a single breakthrough pill is worth at least 1,000 spirit stones, and it's still hard to come by even. At that price, hearing this, several people cast envious glances at Qi Xiang. May I ask if fellow Taoist is cultivating the longevity technique? Suddenly, Song-Wen, who hadn't spoken much, inquired. Qi Xiang nodded, puzzled, and replied, "Indeed, I am cultivating the longevity technique." "Why do you ask, fellow Taoist?" Song-Wen's face showed a smile, his eyes filled with envy. "I'm just curious. The longevity technique has life-extending effects. Since fellow Taoist Qi has broken through to the 7th layer of Qi refinement, you should enjoy a lifespan of about 110 years, truly enviable. Alchemist Qi is young and has already broken through to the late stage of Qi refinement. Moreover, he is a 3rd-tier alchemist with great potential for the future. He might even have a chance to build his foundation someday." Qi Xiang was slightly flattered by Song-Wen's praise and soon forgot about Song-Wen's inquiry about his technique. "Fellow Taoist praises me too much," Qi Xiang replied, trying to suppress his pride. While conversing with the group, Song-Wen was secretly astonished. To gain a late-stage Qi refinement cultivator of the longevity technique, they actually bestowed the breakthrough pill upon an outsider. It seems the Su family has a significant ambition. This made Song-Wen even more curious about why the Su family was capturing cultivators of the longevity technique. The group continued to eat and chat, and soon the topic shifted back to alchemy. "Today, Elder Wan came looking for me again," Duan Jie suddenly said. "Elder Wan wants you to sell him the leftover pills outside of your tasks again?" Qi Xing asked. Duan Jie nodded. Another person nearby interjected. "Steward Su Huawei manages the pill room well, but Elder Wan keeps meddling, trying to buy our leftover pills with threats and higher prices, creating chaos in the pill room." "Shoo! Keep your voice down. The infighting among the Su family's higher-ups has nothing to do with us outsiders. We are just here to make a living under their protection." Hearing this, Song-Wen curiously asked, "What exactly is going on? Can you tell me so I can be prepared?" Duan Jie, sitting beside Song-Wen, leaned over and whispered. "Su Anqing, the patriarch, and Su Wenshi, the great elder, have always been at odds, vying for power. It didn't matter much to us low-tier alchemists before, since they didn't care about our minor contributions. Recently, however, their conflict has escalated, and they even want the excess pills we have beyond our clan tasks. The pill room is managed by Steward Su Huawei, who is aligned with the Great Elder Su Wenshi. The extra pills usually ended up with the Great Elder. Elder Wan is on the Patriarch Su Anqing's side and has recently started interfering in pill room affairs. You need not worry too much. After the end-of-month settlement, just sell your extra pills to whoever comes to you first." Song-Wen nodded. "Thank you, fellow Taoist Duan, for the advice." The next day, Song-Wen went to the pill room early, collected medicinal materials from Su Huawei, and began refining pills. By the time evening came, Song-Wen had used 3 sets of materials and refined 2 furnaces of Qi gathering pills. Alchemy, like talisman making, requires strong mental strength. With Song-Wen's late foundation establishment spiritual awareness, refining first-tier mid-grade pills was an easy task for him. Had he been more familiar with the earth fire, he might have succeeded in all 3 attempts. After 3 consecutive days of alchemy, Song-Wen didn't go to the pill room on the 4th day. He came to the Su family not to refine pills and enhance their strength, but for his own purpose. Today, he planned to explore the surroundings. Since unauthorized entry into Qingping Mountain was prohibited, he could only wander at the foot of the mountain. When he reached the shady side of Qingping Mountain, a small town came into view. This was the town the maid had mentioned, where those in the Su family without spiritual roots or with poor aptitude lived. End of the chapter. Join me on patreon.com. /TL. Read RDC ahead. Mass releases. 2 other stories. 1000 chapters. 1.16 m words. Read ahead for 5 or support me for 1. Your support is my motivation, and please share the story with your fellow readers. Chapter 194. In the small town, the streets were bustling with people, mostly ordinary folks without any cultivation. It resembled a mundane marketplace, with crowds swarming through the streets and the sounds of vendors calling out, conversations and haggling merging together. On the street corners, small vendors had blazing fires and the aromas of various mundane foods filled the air. There were people dressed in fine clothes, others in tattered garments, some traveling in palanquins without touching the ground, and others carrying farming tools covered in mud. If it weren't known in advance, it would be hard to imagine this was a place belonging to a golden core cultivation family. Most of the common people here did not live well. They still struggled for their daily meals. However, compared to ordinary civilians, they lived somewhat better, as there was no war or harsh taxes like those in more turbulent regions. Songwon toured the town and discovered that not only were mundane goods for sale, but there were also many shops selling spiritual items mixed in. Suddenly, Songwon spotted a familiar figure, Su Shan, the guard he had seen at the Su family's mountain gate. Songwon walked over to Su Shan and said, "Su Shan, I didn't expect to see you again." Su Shan turned around at the sound and saw Songwon, a smile appearing on his face. "Senior, it's you. Have you successfully joined the alchemy room?" Songwon nodded in response. "I must thank you for guiding me that day." As he spoke, Songwon flipped his hand and a jade bottle appeared in his grasp. "Here are 10 chi gathering pills as a token of gratitude for your help." Su Shan waved his hand to decline. "I can't accept your gift, Senior. Guiding you is part of my duties, and your success in joining the alchemy room is due to your own alchemy skills." After several rounds of refusal, Songwon managed to press the jade bottle into Su Shan's hands. When someone accepts a gift, they are bound by courtesy. After receiving the chi-gathering pills, Su Shan's demeanor became much warmer. Previously, he had been polite to Songwon, but it was more out of habit than genuine familiarity. The 10 chi-gathering pills were worth 30 spiritual stones, equivalent to Su Shan's monthly salary. Su Shan asked, "By the way, I still don't know how to address you, Senior. Call me Yuan Cheng." "Pleased to meet you, Alchemist Yuan. Does Su Shan live in this town?" "Yes, I grew up here." "Then could you show me around?" "Please, Alchemist Yuan, follow me." Under Su Shan's guidance and explanation, Songwon quickly gained a general understanding of the town. In the town, ordinary people and cultivators lived together, and since everyone was part of the Su family, there was a certain degree of kinship, making their interactions relatively harmonious. As they continued walking, they arrived at a small courtyard. "Alchemist Yuan, this is my humble abode. Would you like to come in and sit?" "Su Shan's invitation is too kind. I'd be honored to accept." As they entered the courtyard, they saw a woman with a rounded belly who was cleaning the yard. Upon seeing Su Shan and Songwon, the pregnant woman greeted them with a smile. "Husband, you're back. Who is this?" "Dear, let me introduce you. This is the new alchemist in the alchemy room, Alchemist Yuan." "Alchemist Yuan. This is my humble wife, Chen Hong." Chen Hong was an ordinary person without any cultivation. "Pleased to meet you, Alchemist Yuan," Chen Hong said with a gentle bow. "Greetings, Mrs. Su." Songwon said respectfully, perhaps unwilling to show herself in front of outsiders. Chen Hong, after greeting, retreated back into the house. Su Shan brewed some tea and sat down with Songwon in the courtyard. "Your wife seems to be a virtuous and capable person, keeping the courtyard clean and tidy. You must be quite fortunate," Songwon remarked. Su Shan sighed and shook his head, saying, "My wife is indeed a good person, but unfortunately she is just an ordinary person." "What's wrong with being an ordinary person?" "Although we are cultivators, the lifespan of a chi refining cultivator is only a bit more than 100 years, which is not much different from ordinary people," Songwon asked in confusion. Su Shan patiently explained, "Alchemist Yuan may not be aware, but in our Su family, to make a name for oneself, one either needs to have excellent spiritual roots or have descendants with outstanding spiritual roots. I only have third-grade spiritual roots, so the highest I can achieve in this life is late-stage chi refining, with no hope of reaching foundation establishment. Therefore, I can only place my hopes on future generations, but unfortunately my wife is an ordinary person and the probability of producing a child with mid-grade spiritual roots is extremely low. In the Su family, status is determined by spiritual root quality rather than by bloodline, which is common in cultivation families. This practice ensures the continuation and prosperity of the family to some extent. The quality of the descendants' spiritual roots is related to the spiritual roots of their parents and may even be influenced by several generations of ancestors. In simple terms, the better the spiritual roots of both partners, the higher the chance of producing descendants with high-quality spiritual roots. For a pair of ordinary people whose ancestors were not cultivators, the chance of having descendants with spiritual roots is almost negligible, let alone those with excellent quality. This also explains why In a town like Su's where ordinary people and cultivators live together, young men and women with spiritual roots are highly sought after when looking for partners. This is also why Su Shan could only marry an ordinary woman. His spiritual roots are too poor, and his strength is too weak to find a suitable female cultivator as a partner. By the way, I haven't seen your father and mother. Where do they live? Songwon changed the topic. Su Shan forced a bitter smile. My father is Su Anqing, the head of the Su family. It's impossible for him to live with me. Your father is the head of the Su family. How could this be? Songwon said, incredulously. Su Shan remained calm and was not surprised by Songwon's astonishment. Su Anqing has more than 100 wives and concubines and hundreds of offspring. My mother was just a beautiful, ordinary woman. After he took her as a concubine, he only favored her once. After that, my mother never saw him again before her death. After I left, I only saw him a few times from afar when he passed by the mountain gate. He probably doesn't even know he has a son like me. In the Su family, without powerful cultivation, outstanding spiritual roots, or special talents in alchemy or talismans, how could one possibly meet the revered head of the family who is at the peak of foundation establishment? As Su Shan spoke, his face showed deep frustration and dissatisfaction with his current strength and cultivation. The atmosphere became a bit oppressive. After a moment of silence, Songwon said, indeed, with poor spiritual roots, it's difficult to improve one's strength. Take me, for example. I am over 50 and only at the Qi refining 7th layer. After expressing his feelings, Songwon suddenly lowered his voice and changed the topic. In my youth, I heard in the Huafeng market that some cultivators, eager to quickly increase their strength, resorted to risky methods and fell into demonic paths, practicing demonic secret techniques. Their strength could advance rapidly in a short time. The higher the level of the cultivator, the higher the level of the demon. It's said that demonic cultivation methods are unpredictable, and there are even demonic cultivators who can fight above their level and defeat righteous cultivators far stronger than themselves. Su Shan's eyebrows lifted, a gleam of interest flashing in his eyes. Is demonic cultivation really that powerful? Songwon shook his head. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. It's just hearsay. However, demonic cultivation involves controlling corpses and ghosts, and if one can command a few powerful corpses and ghosts, their strength should increase rapidly. But practicing demonic cultivation is not tolerated by righteous factions. You have limited knowledge. Not far from the Huafeng market, there is a mountain stream ghost market where various demonic cultivation methods and demonic spiritual treasures are openly sold. If it weren't for the approval of righteous sects like the Beastmaster sect and the Lei family, the small ghost market would have been eradicated long ago. The Huafeng market is tens of thousands of miles away. It's too far, Su Shan muttered to himself. Then he leaned closer to Songwon and asked quietly, Alchemist Yuan, you've seen and heard much. Do you know where nearby I can find demonic cultivation methods for sale? Songwon repeatedly shook his head. I don't know about that. I'm almost 60, so why would I be looking into such things? The two continued their conversation until noon, after which Songwon stood up and took his leave. After Songwon left, Su Shan sat alone in the courtyard for a long time, not even hearing his wife calling him for lunch. End of the chapter. Join me on patreon.com/cindertl. Read RDC ahead, mass releases, 2 other stories, 1000 chapters, 1.16 m words. Read ahead for 5 or support me for 1. Your support is my motivation, and please share this story with your fellow readers. Chapter 195. After leaving Su Shan's courtyard, Songwon did not return directly to his residence but instead headed east. To the east of Qingping Mountain lies a valley, which is where the Su family's ancestor is in seclusion. As for the matter of tempting Su Shan to practice demonic techniques, it was merely a momentary whim of Songwon's. He was not concerned about the consequences or any potential impact on the Su family. Songwon traveled for several dozen miles and finally circled around to the eastern side of Qingping Mountain. The valley where Su Qian, the Su family's ancestor, resided was just 10 miles ahead. According to the detection of the sacred goo, there were numerous visible and hidden sentries within the 10-mile range ahead. Several dozen Su family cultivators were detected by the sacred goo. The valley was not large, covering about a 10-mile area. The entire valley was enveloped by a huge array. Infiltrating the valley seemed almost impossible at the same time. Songwon was somewhat surprised. Such a large array, if maintained for a long time, would be extremely resource-consuming. What could be the reason for needing such a powerful array for constant protection? Was there a significant secret hidden within the valley that they feared being discovered by outsiders? Or was it that the Su family's ancestor was indeed on his last legs, barely hanging on, and needed the array to block vengeful enemies? Songwon casually found a hidden cave to hide in, instructing the sacred Gu to circle the valley and see if it could find any weak spots to infiltrate. The valley was too large and Songwon could not get too close. His spiritual sense could not cover the entire valley. He could only order the sacred Gu to survey the valley and bring back the results. The sacred Gu flew around the valley but found nothing. There were Sioux family cultivators guarding all around the valley, and no one had activated the array. Just as Songwon was about to return to his residence as the sun was setting, a large flying ship appeared from the sky. Songwon immediately recognized it as the Sioux family's flying ship, which had been parked outside Huafeng Market on that day. The flying ship hovered directly above the center of the valley. The array barrier covering the entire valley slowly opened a gap at the top. A person on the flying ship used a sword to fly out, holding a chain in his hand. One end of the chain was gripped by this person, while the other end was still attached to the flying ship, with an unknown object bound to it. This person flew through the gap in the barrier and into the valley, dragging the chain from the ship. Gradually, a loose cultivator bound by the chain was dragged out of the flying ship. As the person flying with the sword descended lower and lower, the chain pulled out more and more, and one loose cultivator after another, bound by chains, was dragged out of the ship, until the end of the chain appeared in view. Songwon noticed that there were over 70 cultivators being bound. It was not hard to guess that these cultivators were likely practicing the longevity technique. It seemed that the Sioux family had captured those practicing the longevity technique and brought them to this valley in the end. But why had the Sioux family brought these people to the valley? What was the connection with the Sioux family's nearly departed ancestor? Over the next 2 days, Songwon diligently refined pills in the pill room. On the third day, he went out again under the pretense of a day off. Early in the morning, Songwon disguised himself as a young cultivator at the 8th layer of qi refining and left the Qingping mountain region. Traveling westward, he flew for over 100 miles. Several miles ahead of Songwon appeared a low mountain range. The mountains were bare, without any vegetation. In these low mountains were numerous large mines, and tattered commoners could be seen entering and exiting these mines. This was the Sioux family's most lucrative industry, and also their most important one. The blood crystal is a crucial spiritual ore for refining various spiritual treasures. The blood crystal's accompanying blood essence is a third-tier spiritual material for crafting magical artifacts. Worth a fortune. Songwon released the sacred Gu to survey the entire mining area and found that the defenses were not very stringent. Only the central area of the mining district had a large courtyard surrounded by protective arrays. It made sense that the blood crystal couldn't be detected by spiritual sense and had to be slowly mined out of the hard rock by hand. The Sioux family was not worried about someone sneaking into the mines to steal blood crystals. Even if a cultivator stole from the mines for a month, they would only get a few blood crystals, and might be discovered by patrolling Sioux family cultivators, risking their lives. The central courtyard was likely where the Sioux family members practiced cultivation and temporarily stored the blood crystals, hence the need for array protection. The sacred Gu also brought back an unexpected discovery. On the other side of the mining area, on a high mountain, 6 people were hiding and secretly observing the mining area. These 6 people were all at the foundation establishment stage. 5 were early-stage foundation establishment cultivators, and 1 was at the late-stage foundation establishment. The presence of these 6 foundation establishment cultivators near the Sioux family's spiritual ore was clearly not a good sign. However, the 6 were too far from Songwon, and even with the help of the sacred Gu, his spiritual sense couldn't cover that area. This information was brought back by the sacred Gu after receiving Songwon's orders to survey the entire mining area and its surroundings. The sacred Gu's spiritual intelligence was not very high and could not understand human language, so Songwon was unaware of what the 6 people were plotting. Songwon circled around the mining area and stealthily approached the location of the 6 at this time. The 6 should have completed their reconnaissance and were retreating. The 6 clearly had intentions regarding the blood crystal mine. Songwon was unwilling to obtain no information about them and followed them. Just a few miles into the chase, Songwon's peripheral vision caught sight of a bowl-sized mouse suddenly darting out from the nearby forest. The mouse moved extremely quickly, like a flash of lightning, leaving only a blurry afterimage as it dashed through the forest toward the 6 people. Songwon's heart sank. Earlier, his spiritual sense had detected this mouse hiding in a tree hole. But since it emitted no spiritual fluctuations, Songwon had considered it an ordinary mountain mouse. Unexpectedly, the mouse had the speed of an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator and was very agile in the dense forest. Clearly this Mouse was a spiritual beast raised by a cultivator. Songwon realized that he had been exposed. Since he was already exposed, he decided to stop hiding and chose to reveal himself to meet the six. To avoid alerting the Su family cultivators in the mining area, the six in front had not used full speed to flee but moved cautiously through the forest. One of the mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivators appeared as a weak scholar, the mouse. Swift as the wind, darted directly into the scholar's bosom. The scholar's face changed slightly as he stopped and whispered, "Not good, we've been discovered." The other five looked over. "What's wrong?" "The shadowless mouse has detected that someone is following us." The five immediately changed expressions, instinctively assuming that the follower was from the Su family. The five were about to activate their movement techniques to escape immediately. "Don't panic, there is only one person. And they are only at the early stage of Foundation establishment." Upon hearing this, the five felt slightly relieved. "What should we do?" asked one of the plain-looking but with bright, agile eyes female cultivators. The scholar replied, "We'll adapt as needed. The person is already here." End of the chapter. For more chapters exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead, up to bonus mass releases. Explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters, totaling over 1.16 m words. Support tiers. Early access 5 general support 1 Your support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected for update notifications, reviews, or to chat. Join me on Patreon. Please share this story with friends and review on Webnovel and ScribbleHub if you're enjoying it. Thanks. Chapter 196. After confirming that Songwon was only an early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, the scholar relaxed considerably. No matter how powerful Songwon was, he was no match for the 6 of them. When Songwon approached and showed no intention of attacking, the scholar signaled the other 5 to remain on guard. Since they were so close to the blood crystal mine, it was best not to take any action if they engaged in combat. It would definitely attract the attention of the Su family, which would be unfavorable for the 6 of them. The scholar sternly questioned Songwon, "Friend, what is your intention in following us?" Songwon replied, "Everyone, please don't misunderstand. I accidentally discovered that you were monitoring the Su family's mine. Since I have some grievances with the Su family, I thought to join forces with you against them." The 6 exchanged glances. Songwon's response was clearly unexpected. "Friend, we don't know each other. How can we trust you?" "What if you're a spy for the Su family?" the scholar asked. "If I were a spy for the Su family, I wouldn't have revealed myself but would have secretly informed them to capture you all," Songwon countered. "Perhaps you intend to lure us into a trap and lead us to your companions hiding behind us," the girl with the large eyes suddenly interjected. Songwon's eyes brightened at this. There were others behind these 6. Given the strength of the 6 in front, they really posed no threat to the blood crystal mine. If they did have a more powerful force behind them, that could indeed pose a threat, according to the information Songwon had obtained from the ghost market. The Su family had a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator stationed at the blood crystal mine. "It seems that you find it difficult to believe me. In that case, I will take my leave. Let's pretend we've never met." After saying this, Songwon turned to leave, thinking, "You can come and go as you please." "It's not that easy," the girl with the large eyes rebuked. Songwon smiled faintly. "Friend, there's no need to make a show of strength. If you were going to act, you would have done so already. It's too close to the mine to act recklessly. If you do, the Su family will definitely become alert. By then, it will be extremely difficult for you to do anything to the blood crystal mine." The girl with the large eyes wanted to scold him further but was stopped by the scholar. The scholar said, "In my opinion, this friend is not from the Su family following us secretly. He probably does not have ill intentions. He is merely trying to gather information and take advantage when we act to rob the mine." Having been exposed, Songwon did not hide it and readily admitted, "Friend, you are very perceptive. Since there is no possibility of cooperation between us, I will take my leave. Let's act as if we've never met." "Friend, wait a moment." The scholar suddenly called out to stop Songwon. "To join forces against the Su family is not impossible. If you have the courage, you can meet us here at noon in 3 days to discuss how to attack the Su family's blood crystal mine." Songwon glanced at the scholar and cupped his fists in thanks. "Thank you for your trust." With that, Songwon transformed into a shadow and quickly vanished into the depths of the dense forest. The girl with the large eyes looked at the scholar with doubt and asked, "This person's origins are unclear. How can you trust him so easily?" The scholar shook his head and sneered, "Of course, I don't trust him. However, he does not seem to be from the Su family. I was merely misleading him, making him believe we would act in 3 days. In 3 days, the Su family's blood crystal mine will already be emptied by us. Let's go." The 6 figures soon disappeared from the spot. Song 1, several miles away, extended his spiritual sense through the sacred goo and observed the scene with a smile. The earlier pretense was not in vain. He finally obtained some useful information. The opponent's actions were likely to occur within the next 2 or 3 days. After stealthily moving away from the blood crystal mine in the dense forest, Songwen flew back to Qingping Mountain. Upon arriving at Qingping Mountain, Songwen went straight to the mountain villa. Su Ji, I have an old friend visiting and would like to take a 3-day leave. Su Huawei, who was organizing the accounts in the villa, was immediately displeased upon hearing this. The newcomer Yuan Cheng had only been at the Su family for a few days but had already taken leave multiple times, which irritated her. Her voice became stern as she spoke. Master Yuan, if you cannot submit the required medicine by the end of the month, your monthly salary will be deducted. Song Wen's expression turned conflicted and hesitant. After some deep consideration, he replied, "Thank you for the reminder, Supervisor Su. However, an old friend I haven't seen in years has arrived. If I don't spend a few days with him, it would indeed be impolite. I hope Su's supervisor can understand." Su Huawei raised her eyes and looked at Song Wen with obvious impatience. Go ahead, go ahead. It's not like the deduction affects my salary, but remember, outsiders are not allowed to stay here casually. Song Wen's face brightened and he quickly bowed in thanks. Thank you, Supervisor Su. Rest assured, I won't bring my friend to the Su family. I will have him stay in the northern market. After leaving the villa, Song Wen returned to his residence, pretended to pack up a few things and then headed towards the northern market. After making several rounds in the market and changing his appearance, he then proceeded towards the blood crystal mine. 10 miles from the mine, Song Wen released 6 sacred gusts to monitor the surroundings and movements in the mine area. He found a cave, set up the spirit concealment formation and the 9 palaces in array, and took out the alchemy furnace to begin refining medicine. Before arriving at the Su family, Songwen had purchased a lot of blood essence and beast refining medicine from the ghost market, with the supplies of these 2 medicines running low. It was the perfect time to use the waiting period to refine some. Songwen was unsure when the group of scholars might launch a raid on the Su family's spiritual mine. To avoid wasting spiritual herbs due to interrupted refining, he chose to refine the less time-consuming blood chi pills. The beast refining pills could be replaced with silver stones once used up. Time passed quickly, and after several hours, Songwen refined the first batch of blood chi pills. After a short rest, as he was preparing to refine the second batch, the sacred gusts outside sent a report. To the north of the mine area, a group of rogue cultivators appeared, numbering more than 10, all at the foundation establishment stage. Among them were the 6 cultivators Songwen had seen earlier. At this time, it was past the midnight hour, and the dense forest was pitch black. The group of rogue cultivators had a clear target and headed straight for the center of the mine. Apart from eliminating a few of the Su family's sentries, they did not engage in widespread killing. The leader of the rogue cultivators was an elderly man with a crane-like hair and pine-like demeanor, a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. As the elder rushed forward, just before reaching the courtyard, he slapped his waist, and a second-level late-stage ghost general suddenly appeared. The ghost general transformed into a ghostly shadow, raising its chilling claws to directly attack the large formation above the courtyard. The formation's barrier was struck, suddenly erupting with a blinding golden light. The golden light fell upon the ghost general, causing it considerable discomfort, and it quickly retreated. The sudden commotion naturally alerted the Su family members inside the formation. Several dozen Su family members appeared in the open space at the center of the courtyard, looking up at the more than 10 rogue cultivators in midair. Among them, a middle-aged Su family cultivator at the late foundation establishment stage, seeing the ghostly elder, was filled with anger. "Jing Lu, it's you again, this evil demon. You have repeatedly opposed my Su family. Do you really think we have no one to deal with you?" Jing Lu responded coldly. "I was never involved with your Su family. Everyone follows their own path and cultivates their own immortality. But your Su family, under the pretense of subduing demons and eliminating evil, has exterminated my sect and killed my disciples. Naturally, there will be a price to pay." He then waved to the group of rogue cultivators behind him. "Break this turtle shell." End of the chapter. For more chapters, exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead. Up to bonus mass releases. Explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters, totaling over 1.16 M words. Support tiers. Early Access 5 General Support 1 Your support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected for update notifications, reviews, or to chat. Join me on Patreon. Please share this story with friends and review on WebNovel and ScribbleHub if you're enjoying it. Thanks. Chapter 197. The barrier of the formation covering the courtyard had become increasingly weakened under the relentless bombardment of the rogue cultivators. Su Jingshu's eyes flashed with a trace of concern. He shouted in a stern and urgent tone, "Jinglu, cease your arrogance with your ragtag group. You think you can take down my Su family's blood crystal mine? You're simply dreaming. I've already used a secret method to notify our Su family ancestor. Ancestor Su Qian will arrive shortly. You won't escape this time." Facing Su Jingshu's threat, Jinglu remained unfazed. Hehehe. Su Jingshu, stop trying to scare us with empty words. Do you really think a few threats can intimidate us? Everyone knows that old Su Qian's lifespan is nearly exhausted. Right now, he's likely hiding somewhere, barely clinging to life. How could he be concerned about the blood crystal mine? Seeing that threats were ineffective, Su Jingshu's face grew even more grim. Third Elder, what should we do now? A mid-stage foundation establishment female cultivator from the Su family asked. Su Jingshu turned to the female cultivator, took off a storage ring from his hand, and handed it to her. This storage ring contains 10,000 blood crystals. It was meant to be sent back to the clan in the next 2 days. Jinglu chose to attack now because he must have already discovered this, and he's targeting these blood crystals. Keep the storage ring safe. When the formation is broken, I will create an opportunity for you to escape directly to Qingping Mountain. Su-yi, you must remember, regardless of what happens, do not get distracted. You must survive and bring the storage ring back to the clan. Recently, our clan is in turmoil. These 10,000 blood crystals are worth no less than 50,000 spiritual stones and are crucial to our family. There must be no mistakes. Su-yi took the storage ring and nodded seriously. Rest assured, Third Elder, I will definitely bring the blood crystals back to the clan. Su Jingshu looked relieved, patting Su-yi's shoulder a few times with a look of self-sacrifice. Moments later, under the watch of more than a dozen foundation establishment cultivators, the formation barrier finally could not withstand the assault and shattered with a loud crash. Kill! Jinglu led the Ghost General directly towards Su Jingshu. The rogue cultivators also used their various techniques to attack other Su family members. The two sides quickly clashed. Although the Su family had many cultivators, only 8 were at the foundation establishment stage, while the rogues had 14, creating a nearly 2-to-1 situation from the start. The Su family cultivators were showing signs of defeat, however, due to the Su family's deep foundation. Each foundation establishment cultivator had powerful spiritual weapons, allowing them to hold on for a while. But the Su family's Qi refining stage members had no one to protect them and were slaughtered within moments. Su Jingshu wielded a top-grade spiritual flying sword, which, with the help of the sword's power, managed to suppress Jinglu and the Ghost General for a while. After pushing back Jinglu and the Ghost General with the sword like a streak of light, Su Jingshu suddenly moved to stand in front of Su-yi, blocking attacks from 2 rogue cultivators. Go! Su Jingshu shouted loudly. Su-yi did not hesitate, using the flying sword to turn and escape, heading straight for Qingping Mountain. Seeing Su-yi trying to escape, Jinglu and Xuanan, who had been circling the battlefield, would definitely not allow it. The two immediately used their methods to pursue Su. Xuanan's weapon was a low-grade spiritual weapon called the Soul-Devouring Spike. The Soul-Devouring Spike was about 2 inches long, crimson throughout, and was a sinister ghostly spiritual weapon that emitted eerie howls, as if thousands of vengeful spirits were crying, and had the effect of disturbing one's mind. The Soul-Devouring Spike flew through the air, directly targeting Su-yi from behind. Jinglu's Ghost General created multiple ghostly shadows and chased Su-yi at incredible speed. Feeling the immense pressure from behind, Su-yi's heart trembled. She quickly summoned a small blue shield to protect herself. At the same time, she controlled the flying sword to strike at the Ghost General. Keep going, we'll hold them back here. Su Jingshu's voice suddenly rang out. His top-grade spiritual flying sword arrived before the Soul-Devouring Spike, directly knocking it away, then turned to strike at the Ghost General. Su-yi's crisis was immediately averted, and she hastened to escape at full speed. Sui was temporarily safe, but the other Foundation establishment cultivators from the Su family were in imminent danger, facing nearly double the number of enemies. The Su family's defenders were already struggling with Sui gone. Their situation was even more precarious. In just a few breaths, 2 Foundation establishment cultivators from the Su family were slain by the rogue cultivators. The morale of the rogue cultivators soared instantly. In contrast, the Su family cultivators were filled with fear and were looking for an opportunity to escape. At this time, Sui had already flown several miles and was nearing the cave where Song Wan was hiding. Suddenly, Su Jingshu, who had been blocking Shua Nan and Jinglu, shouted loudly, "Sui, you must return to the clan alive and bring back the 10,000 blood crystals and the 100 blood crystal marrows. This is crucial to the prosperity of our Su family, and you must not fail." Su Jingshu's voice was loud and echoed across the entire mine area. Not only did Sui, several miles away, hear it, but the rogue cultivators in the midst of battle also heard it. Sui, who was escaping on her sword, staggered and nearly fell from the sky. She glanced back at Su Jingshu. Her eyes filled with shock. Su Jingshu was trying to put her in a deadly situation. All the rogue cultivators' eyes lit up upon hearing this. 100 blood crystal marrows. Was the Su family's blood crystal mine that rich? Previously, Jinglu I told them that the Su family delivered blood crystals from the mine once a month, usually around 10,000, worth about 50,000 spiritual stones. Jinglu had promised to share these blood crystals equally among them, which meant each person could get over 30,000 spiritual stones. Unexpectedly, there was also the news of 100 blood crystal marrows. That was worth several million low-grade spiritual stones. Was Jinglu hiding the truth, trying to keep the blood crystal marrows for himself? Or had the Su family suddenly discovered a vein rich in blood crystal marrows? The rogue cultivators hesitated momentarily, turning their greedy eyes towards Sui, who was several miles away. The closest ones were undoubtedly Shua Nan and Jinglu. Both were puzzled by the information. According to their intelligence, blood crystal marrows were extremely rare, sometimes not even found in a whole month. Could the Su family have truly found a rich vein of blood crystal marrows recently? Or was Su Jingshu deliberately setting a trap? Shua Nan was very skeptical about Su Jingshu's claim, but his greed kept his focus on Sui. The temptation of several million spiritual stones was too great. After a moment of hesitation, greed ultimately prevailed. Shua Nan was the first to leave the battlefield. Heading straight for Su, his departure led the already restless rogue cultivators to follow suit, all chasing after Sui. The blood crystal marrows worth several million spiritual stones were too enticing. Even if the 14 of them had to split it, each would still receive tens of thousands of spiritual stones. No one wanted to let one person take advantage of it alone. Jinglu watched as one rogue cultivator after another rushed past him and felt frustrated. He knew that Su Jingshu's words could not possibly be true. It was impossible to extract such a large quantity of blood crystal marrows in a short time. If so much blood crystal marrow had been found, the Su family would have already sent a large number of Foundation establishment cultivators for protection. However, with the rogue cultivators' greed now fully stirred, Jinglu did not dare to speak out to stop them from pursuing Sui. If he did, they would only suspect that he wanted to monopolize the blood crystal marrows. End of the chapter. For more chapters, exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead. Up to bonus mass releases. Explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters, totaling over 1.16 M words. Support tiers. Early access 5 general support 1 year support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected for update notifications, reviews, or to chat. Join me on Patreon. Please share this story with friends and review on Webnovel and ScribbleHub if you're enjoying it. Thanks. Chapter 198. Seeing that many of the rogue cultivators had gone after Sui, Jinglu was filled with resentment and helplessness. He turned to Su Jingshu, gritting his teeth. Retreat! But this only solves the immediate crisis. The Su family can no longer protect this blood crystal mine. Su Jingshu glanced at Jinglu but did not refute him. He turned to the remaining 4 Su family cultivators. Let's go. With that, he mounted his sword and flew away in the direction opposite the rogue cultivators. The 4 others also mounted their swords and followed. Jinglu knew he was not a match for them and did not dare to stop them. He could only watch as Su Jingshu and his group escaped. With Su Jingshu gone, the entire blood crystal mine area became unprotected. Jinglu vented his anger on the mine slaves within the mine. To the south of the courtyard, there was a valley where thousands of low huts were clustered together. The huts were cramped and disorderly, with sewage flowing everywhere, garbage strewn about, and a stench filling the air. Resembling a massive garbage dump, at this time it was deep night and the mine slaves were all in their huts sleeping, but the recent battle had long since awakened them. They emerged from their huts and seeing the chaos caused by the battle. Some mine slaves fled in panic. Others, however, appeared numb and dazed, like soulless shells, neither fleeing nor avoiding, as if death was a form of release for them. These mine slaves were ordinary people enslaved by the Su family and they had no ability to resist Jing Lu's attacks. The ghost general rushed into the huts where the mine slaves lived, starting a brutal slaughter. The ghostly aura spread like fierce, roaring dragons, sweeping in all directions where it passed. The mine slaves fell in large numbers as if sliced by a scythe. When ordinary people died, their souls would automatically leave their bodies. The ghost general used his power to capture the souls, stuffing them into his mouth as if they were a delicious feast. There were tens of thousands of mine slaves in the entire mine area. Although the ghost general found it easy to kill, he had only consumed a few thousand souls. Under normal circumstances, after death, souls would naturally dissipate into the world and travel to an unknown place, but as a ghost cultivator, Jing Lu would not let the souls he had captured go to waste. He floated in midair, controlling a pitch-black soul-capturing banner. The banner, trailing behind the ghost general, swept over the corpses of the mine slaves, forcibly capturing the souls. What is going on? Jing Lu's expression suddenly turned to one of confusion and suspicion. The black soul-capturing banner was a soul-capturing artifact, and although it was only a high-grade magic item, capturing the souls of these ordinary people should have been effortless, yet, inexplicably, a large number of the souls had disappeared without a trace. At this moment, the rogue cultivators who had been chasing Su Yi had succeeded. Su Yi had no means of resisting under the pursuit of more than 10 cultivators of the same realm. The rogue cultivators found that the storage ring on Su Yi's hand contained only 10,000 blood crystals and none of the blood crystal marrows. They were somewhat annoyed and turned Su Yi's corpse into a pile of minced meat. With her soul scattered by Xuanan's soul-devouring spike, although they did not get the unexpected wealth, they successfully obtained the 10,000 blood crystals planned in their scheme. The rogue cultivators, holding the storage ring, began to return to the mine area. Song 1, who was hiding in the cave, had observed everything clearly. The attack on the Su family's blood crystal mine resulted in significant losses and the deaths of 3 Foundation establishment cultivators, which was excellent news for Songwon as long as it weakens the Su family's strength. Songwon is happy to see it, but throughout the entire process, Songwon did not participate, feeling as if he had made a fruitless trip. 20 miles away from the blood crystal mine, at the foot of a tall mountain, Su Jingshu and the 5 members of the Su family were hiding here, concealing their presence. Third Elder, are we just going to let those evil cultivators plunder the mine and destroy our Su family's property? That's our most important asset. Shouldn't we seek help from the family and eliminate these notorious robbers? Su Jingshu shook his head. Our ancestor cannot act right now, and the only cultivators the family can send are Foundation establishment cultivators. By the time they arrive, those robbers will have long since fled. Are we just going to let those evil cultivators go? One of the Su family cultivators asked unwillingly. A cruel smile appeared on Su Jingshu's face. Not so easily. Those who provoke the Su family will have to pay a painful price. Before leaving, I released the seal on the underground Ghost King in the mine. The other 4's faces changed dramatically. Third Elder, that Ghost King was sealed by our ancestor with great effort 30 years ago. If the Ghost King is released, the entire mine area will be ruined. After the rogue cultivators have plundered, they will leave immediately. We just need to capture the mine slaves again, and the mine area can be rebuilt. If the mine is destroyed, the difficulty of rebuilding will increase several times. Su Jingshu remained calm. Do you know why our ancestor expended so much effort sealing the Ghost King instead of killing it? Isn't it as the outside world says, that our ancestor's strength was insufficient to kill the Ghost King, so he sealed it instead? A Su family member asked. Puzzled, Su Jingshu sneered. Not at all. If he could capture and seal the Ghost King, why couldn't he kill it? A mere Ghost King is not an immortal being. Our ancestor fought a great battle with the Ghost King back then. The Ghost King was defeated, causing severe damage to its soul and even breaking its soul core. The Ghost King's cultivation was reduced to almost nothing. Our ancestor captured it and sealed it deep underground in the blood crystal mine, setting up a ghost Dao Grand formation. The purpose was to let it absorb the resentment constantly emanating from the mine slaves and devour the souls of those dead mine slaves to help the Ghost King restore its soul and rebuild its soul core. Once the Ghost King's strength is restored and it is subdued, our Sioux family will gain an additional third-tier combat force. But for some reason, maybe the Ghost King's foundation was injured back then, or our ancestor was not proficient in ghost control. Even after 30 years, the Ghost King has only restored its soul. The broken soul core remains unrepaired. It can only be considered a pseudo-third-tier Ghost King. The so-called soul core is similar to the golden core of human cultivators, the demon core of demon races, or the corpse core of zombies, and can only be refined by a true third-tier Ghost King. The 4 Sioux family cultivators were shocked by this revelation, which was quite different from what they had heard before. Even a pseudo-third-tier Ghost King is enough to turn the mine area upside down, one of them said with concern. Su Jingshu confidently said, "Rest assured, our ancestors' plans were meticulous. He had already devised a strategy 30 years ago." As he spoke, Su Jingshu took out a small black flag. This flag is the core of the ceiling formation and also a ghost controlling banner. As long as we lure the Ghost King into the formation and you all cooperate with me to activate it, we can capture it with the ghost controlling banner. This Ghost King, sealed underground for many years and absorbing resentment for a long time, will be full of resentment when the seal is first broken. We'll use these robbers to dispel its resentment. Once the resentment on the Ghost King dissipates, we can reap the benefits. End of the chapter. For more chapters exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead, up to bonus mass releases, explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters totaling over 1.16 m words. Support tiers. Early access 5, general support 1. Your support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected for update notifications, reviews, or to chat. Join me on Patreon. Please share the story with friends and review on Webnovel and Scribblehub if you're enjoying it. Thanks. Chapter 199. Seeing the returning group of rogue cultivators, Jing Lu's eyes were filled with anger and frustration at their incompetence. A bunch of foolish and greedy ignoramuses were easily manipulated by Su Jingshu's small scheme, making them turn in circles. This led to the failure of his plans and allowed Su Jingshu and the others to escape. Jing Lu had planned to capture all the Su family members in the mines to avenge the destruction of his sect, although he didn't like these rogue cultivators. He still needed them for now and couldn't afford to fall out with them yet. Jing Lu took the storage ring handed to him by the bookkeeper and divided the 10,000 blood crystals among all the robbers present. "I have fulfilled my promise to you all. The rest of the spoils in the mine area and caves will depend on your own efforts to find. Whoever gets them first will keep them. Remember, anything you cannot take with you, destroy it all, even blowing up the caves if necessary." The rogue cultivators' eyes lit up at his words and they flew down toward the mine's courtyard on their swords. Jing Lu stood in the air, watching the robbers rush into the courtyard. Earlier, many of the mine's slaves' souls had inexplicably vanished, which made him uneasy. He did not follow the robbers into the courtyard but instead retreated a short distance. Just as the robbers entered the courtyard, an abnormal event occurred. The central area of the courtyard suddenly collapsed. A massive circular pit with a diameter of over 10 yards and an unfathomable depth appeared. A vast amount of resentment mixed with chilling ghostly energy like a black vortex rapidly rose from the pit and shot into the sky. Suddenly, the wind howled and a sharp, piercing ghostly roar sounded. A towering ghostly figure, about 10 feet tall, burst out from the pit. The figure was covered in black armor, with eerie red light shining through the slits of its helmet. It held a nearly 2-meter-long giant sword, which was pitch black and swirling with ghostly energy. It resembled a fierce general from a hellish battlefield emerging after endless slaughter. As soon as the black-armored ghost appeared, the entire courtyard was engulfed in howling winds and rising resentment. The rogue cultivators were terrified, feeling a powerful pressure that rivaled golden core cultivators, which made them unable to muster any will to fight back. They fled in all directions on their swords. The black-armored Ghost King was like a wild beast released from its cage, its eyes blood-red with boundless murderous intent. It needed to kill to vent the endless resentment accumulated during its 30-year imprisonment. The black-armored Ghost King grabbed the nearest rogue cultivator, a cultivator at the early Foundation establishment stage, and tore him in half with a single claw. The Ghost King casually reached in, pulled out the internal organs, and then threw them into its mouth. The ghostly entity chewed briefly and swallowed the organs, its eyes flashing with a dazzling red light as if it had tasted some exquisite delicacy. With a flicker, it became a blur of motion, its speed so extreme it seemed like teleportation, and in an instant, it was beside another rogue cultivator. In the terrified gaze of this cultivator, the towering ghost opened its gaping maw and devoured the upper half of the cultivator's body in one bite. Endless ghostly and resentful energy poured into the cultivator's body, instantly freezing him and making his limbs rigid. He couldn't even use his spiritual energy to resist. The Ghost King then bit the cultivator in half, swallowing the upper half of the body and its soul together. Jinglu watched the carnage below. Feeling a bone-chilling coldness in his heart, he turned and fled to a distance. He couldn't help but feel a bit of relief for discovering the abnormality here first and not rashly entering the courtyard. Otherwise, his fate would not have been any better than the other rogue cultivators. Su Jingshu tossed the black flag into the air. In an instant, the small flag transformed into a towering ghost banner, and its fabric stretched and elongated like a retractable silk ribbon. Wrapping around the black-armored Ghost King, the once invincible black-armored Ghost King was now encircled by the banner, struggling to break free. Hurry! You four, set up the formation around the array and assist me in powering it. My cultivation cannot sustain this ghost banner for long, Su Jingshu shouted. The four Su family foundation establishment cultivators followed his instructions and flew to the four corners of the courtyard on their swords. Several miles away, Jinglu watched the scene with surprise and a hint of eagerness in his eyes. Top-grade ghost banner. The black-armored Ghost King had been sealed underground for over 30 years. Now, just as it broke free, it was ensnared by the ghost banner, and its fury was unstoppable, its blood, red eyes radiating murderous intent. The ghostly energy surrounding it surged like monstrous waves in the deep sea, continuously battering the surrounding banners. The banners were like small boats in the vast sea, quickly overwhelmed and submerged by the relentless ghostly waves. This, however, bought precious time for Su Jingshu and his group, who had already taken their positions. Su Jingshu hovered above the center of the courtyard, while the other four had reached the corners. The ghost banner transformed back into a small black flag and landed beside Su Jingshu. TL Small chapter. End of the chapter. For more chapters exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead, up to bonus mass releases, explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters totaling over 1.16 m words. Support tiers. Early access 5, general support 1. Your support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected for update notifications, reviews, or to chat. Join me on Patreon. Please share the story with friends and review on Webnovel and ScribbleHub if you're enjoying it. Thanks. Chapter 200. The Ghost King broke free from the banner and roared as it charged towards Su Jingshu in midair. Su Jingshu's expression grew stern. Not daring to delay for a moment, he quickly activated the black flag again. The small flag transformed into a towering figure and descended towards the deep pit in the center of the courtyard. At the same time, Su Jingshu quickly descended to avoid the Ghost King's attacks. He continued to make hand seals with his hands. The other 4 Su family members also performed their hand seals, directing them into the array's formation points. Suddenly, the entire courtyard was bathed in a blood-red light. The blood-red light grew more intense, dyeing the pitch-black night sky crimson. The Ghost King, which had been charging at Su Jingshu, suddenly felt an overwhelming force press down on it, as if a mountain was crushing it. The Ghost King's speed drastically slowed, and its movements became sluggish. The blood-red eyes revealed through the helmet's gaps erupted with endless hatred. This feeling was all too familiar. It was the same power that had kept it trapped in the pitch-black underground for 30 years, unwilling to be captured without a fight. The Ghost King swung its massive sword in an instant. The wind howled as if turbulent waves were trying to counteract the array's power. However, this formation was not something it could resist with its pseudo-third-tier strength. No matter how much it exerted its ghostly energy, it couldn't break free from the array's control and was gradually pulled into the deep pit, descending towards the depths below. Su Jingshu's expression brightened, and he rapidly changed his hand seals. He shouted, "Seal." At the bottom of the pit, there was a small platform with the towering ghost banner inserted in its center. Immediately, a blood-red transparent barrier appeared on the platform, enveloping it entirely and sealing the Ghost King within. Su Jingshu sighed with relief and approached the edge of the pit. Looking down, the Ghost King was continuously smashing against the blood-red barrier but could not shake it. The other 4 Su family members also breathed a sigh of relief, ready to move towards the deep pit, but were stopped by Su Jingshu. To avoid complications, let's finish this quickly and capture the ghost in the banner. Continue to maintain the array and assist me." The group sat cross-legged, continuing to perform hand seals. In the deep pit, the ghost banner's blood-red light intensified, and a terrifying suction force emerged from the banner, pulling the Ghost King towards it. The Ghost King continued to swing its ghost sword, with black sword energy forming in the shape of a rainbow, cutting through the bloodlight like a storm, attempting to shatter the barrier and sever the banner. In an instant, the small platform was engulfed in a battle between the bloodlight and the black ghostly energy, making the struggle intense and complex. As time passed, the Ghost King's resistance gradually weakened. The Su family members also looked pale, their spiritual energy severely depleted. In the end, the Ghost King could not withstand and was absorbed into the Ghost Banner. Phew. With the task accomplished, Su Jingshu, who had been holding his breath, finally relaxed. His spiritual energy was nearly exhausted from the continuous hand seals, leaving him with the sensation as if his fingers were about to cramp. But it was all worth it. With the Ghost King captured in the banner, as long as he spent some time refining it, he would be able to command the pseudo-third-tier Ghost King like an extension of his own arm. With the Patriarch's life nearing its end and the Su family in turmoil, with internal power struggles between the Patriarch Su Anqing and the Great Elder Su Wenshi, as a third elder whose cultivation and status were not comparable to theirs, he naturally had little qualification to compete with them. But now the situation was different. With the assistance of the pseudo-third-tier Ghost King, he would become the strongest combat force in the Su family aside from the ancestor and be qualified to vie for power with the other two. His decades of guarding the blood spirit crystal mine were not in vain. This was also why he had never sought help from the Su family. He wanted to monopolize the pseudo-third-tier Ghost King. Su Jingshu's face showed joy, as if he could already see the Su family flourishing under his control. In an instant, his expression stiffened. A chilling wind swept in from behind. Turning around, he saw that it was Jing Lu's second-tier late-stage Ghost General, now less than 100 meters away from him. Jing Lu, riding on a flying sword, followed closely behind the Ghost General and flew toward him. Su Jingshu was greatly alarmed. Jing Lu was still alive and had not retreated. He had been hiding in the shadows all along. He now had less than 10% of his spiritual power remaining, and the other four Su family members were in even worse shape, with almost no spiritual power left. The pseudo-third-tier Ghost King they had just captured had not yet been refined and could not be used temporarily. It felt like being trapped in a desperate situation. Su Jingshu gritted his teeth and used the remaining spiritual power in his body. The high-grade spiritual weapon flying sword flickered with a ghostly light, shooting like a meteor through the night sky towards the Ghost General. He himself stood on a flying sword and immediately fled. The other four Su family members scattered like birds and beasts. They understood that Jing Lu was targeting Su Jingshu as long as they stayed away from Su Jingshu. Jing Lu would not be distracted to deal with them. The four of them did not use flying swords. They directly used their movement techniques to hide in the surrounding darkness. Su Jingshu, you can't escape. Hand over the high-grade spiritual weapon Ghost Banner and the pseudo-third-tier Ghost King, or I'll make sure you die like a dog. Jing Lu shouted with satisfaction. Due to Su Jingshu's insufficient spiritual power, he could not fully unleash the power of the high-grade spiritual weapon flying sword, which was easily blocked by Jing Lu's Ghost General. To Jing Lu, Su Jingshu seemed like a trapped beast, and the high-grade spiritual weapon Ghost Banner and the pseudo-third-tier Ghost King were his for the taking. Su Jingshu glanced back at the increasingly distant Jing Lu, his eyes flashing with determination. Want to kill me? It won't be that easy. Over these decades, my time in the blood crystal mine was not spent in vain. The numerous dead miners and the ghostly energy accumulated before the Ghost King was sealed were not wasted. As he spoke, a white, bone-like skull suddenly appeared in his hand. The skull emanated an overwhelming ghostly aura with an oppressive and unstable presence, as if it might burst forth at any moment, turning the surroundings into a ghostly wasteland. Su Jingshu hurled the skull with force. The skull swiftly flew toward a spot not far in front of Jing Lu. Boom! A tremendous explosion erupted. The skull exploded, releasing boundless ghostly energy and countless souls, sweeping out like a black hurricane towards Jing Lu and his Ghost General. Jing Lu's face changed dramatically. He had not anticipated that Su Jingshu would use the souls and resentments of countless miners to create such a vicious one-time treasure. He hurriedly commanded the Ghost General to charge into the ghostly hurricane while he turned and fled on his sword. The black hurricane roared past, and the Ghost General was instantly engulfed. Jing Lu was also caught in it. The hurricane, like a storm, rapidly tore apart Jing Lu's protective spiritual power and then shredded his flesh. Jing Lu spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he was swept away by the hurricane, flying towards the distance. The black hurricane came quickly and dissipated just as fast. In a moment it scattered, leaving behind countless resentments that filled the sky for miles around, obscuring the moon and stars. It was as if the souls of the miners who had met tragic ends were filling the world with their sorrowful tales. End of the chapter. For more chapters, exclusive releases, join my Patreon at patreon.com/cindertl. Read ahead, up to bonus mass releases, explore more. 2 other stories with 1,000 chapters, totaling over 1.16 m words. Support tiers. Early access 5, general support 1. Your support makes all the difference. Let's stay connected. For update notifications, reviews, or to chat, join me on Patreon. Please share the story with friends and review on Webnovel and Scribblehub if you're enjoying it. Thanks.